Thank you everyone for coming today and good morning. My name is Karissa Lundie and today I'll be presenting my progress since the midterms and my final design for a community care center for youth with cerebral palsy. I wanted to say a quick thank you to Carolyn Andrews, Natalie Rowe, and Haley Mooring for helping me complete this design, providing me with helpful information both on cerebral palsy and helping me learn and complete this design in Revit, and for all the support along the way. My thesis focuses on creating a community care facility that provides, there we go. Okay. My thesis focuses on providing a community care facility that provides specialized care for children and youth between the ages of 4 to 16 who are living with cerebral palsy. Research has shown that providing an opportunity for family and loved ones to stay on site while their child receives treatment can be extremely beneficial, as this helps to keep the families together during what could be a very stressful time without them needing to find a place to stay off-site in potentially a hotel if they're traveling out of their hometown. Keeping families together can also help to encourage bonding and togetherness through this harder time. Through my research, 4 main topics were the most prominent, and they included spatial planning, specifically for patients and caregivers, privacy and independence, especially since individuals with CP begin puberty earlier, materials and finishes to ensure that there are minimized corners and softer materials in case of falls, and providing a sensory area or snoozling room, or even just a breakout room where people can go to relax or decompress when needed. The 3 design theories that I utilized throughout this process included the therapeutic environment theory, the environmental barriers, or the control theory, and social connection theory. For my project location, I've chosen the London Roundhouse building, and that is located near the downtown core with a pharmacy across the street and ample parking, and also a more private front entrance off of Waterloo Street that you can see here. So that would be, this main street is Horton Street and Waterloo goes this way, so you would be able to come in and have a bit more of a secluded private entrance just for a bit more privacy. And then here is just a photo of the original exterior, which was a large inspiration for my design. And this photo includes this section here, which is the newly renovated areas that were done in 2016 by Nicholson Sheffield Architects. This just shows a zoomed out version of London and the location in relation to London's downtown core, which is here, my design, and then also 5 minutes down the road is Victoria Hospital, just so everything's really close, all the amenities are there, and this is also near many bus routes. And in the previous slide, there is a bus route right here, right within like a couple minutes walking distance from the building. Since my design is located in the newly renovated area, I would like to bring some of the heritage aspects of the existing building back into the design, including the warm wood ceiling, the brick walls, and large windows to bring in extra natural light. For my conceptual design process, I'm just going to really quickly go back through my preliminary work. I started with an adjacency matrix for spatial planning, and also filling out the OBC matrix to ensure that I was following code throughout the process and see where I could add additional accessible features. For my user needs chart, this was derived from the adjacency matrix and goes over the important areas and what would be needed, not only of the space itself, but for furniture and fixtures as well. Takeaways from this chart included adding a guest area for loved ones to stay nearby their children in the private patient areas, adding patient rooms that had larger windows and access to natural light, providing a nurse's area where they could step away and decompress throughout the day when needed, and having an inviting community space overall that connects a lounge and a cafe together to feel more like a residential area. My goal at the midterm was to look into LEED certification, as sustainability is very important to me, and I believe that this design could potentially achieve LEED Platinum through the use of rainwater collection for gray water use by reducing the parking lots in the future and replacing them with more green space and potentially even a therapy garden outdoors, and also implementing a green roof on the newly renovated areas, just to name a few of the options. Now moving on a bit, Here's my design development. So here I just have my midterm floor plan again as a bit of a refresher to show what the space looked like originally. The main takeaways from the midterm presentation that I focused on was the patient and private section. So making sure that the nurses area was easier to access from the main section of the building, and focusing and working more on traffic flow and wayfinding. Here's my final finished floor plan. So this upper section here is what changed. It completely flipped. So that way the guest rooms are in the farther corner. It's a little bit more private. They have their own kitchenette with curved edges. That way it's a little safer as well. And then there are 2 patient rooms still and 2 guest rooms. That way each patient can have a loved one with them throughout their stay. And there are also 2 nurses areas in the on-call room. So each patient has their own nurse dedicated for them. On the doors, something that was mentioned was having extra visibility for patient safety. I'll be adding, there's an added glass glazed portion in the door that will be using switch glass. So when needed for extra privacy, you could push a button and it will become fully opaque. And when the nurses will also have access to these, and they'll be able to make them transparent for quick check-ins on the patient. Then just across the hall, we have the shared universal washroom with a roll-in shower and the adult change table. And then here in this corner, right in the center of the building, is the nurses on-call area, lounge and little kitchenette, and also storage for meds or medications, their own bathroom, and the janitor's closet, which would have a washer dryer combo just for ease of access. And I also propose to have a washer dryer combo over here. That way, if patients and guests are staying for longer periods of time for extra autonomy, guests can do their own laundry if they wish. And I just have my section indications here. So here are 2 of the sections. I'm sorry I don't have any color in the sections. I didn't get a chance to put any in. But these 2 sections show views of my space through the length of the building, showing the guest bedrooms, patient bedrooms, the nurses on call area, and the more self-serve cafe. And the second view shows more of the flexible use room with a view of the storage and micro abstract room, or the breakout room, and another view of the cafe area. For furniture and materials, I just have a legend here corresponding with the indicated numbers or letters to show which piece is which if you wanted a bit more information on them. But this just shows the furniture that I've used that will be seen in the majority of the renderings. And all of the furniture that I've chosen is from Steelcase, other than a select few items and the beds. The materials, I really wanted to revitalize the heritage aspects of the space to help create a warm, non-clinical environment, while also providing some more modern finishes and pops of color for contrast. So that I have done with the wood ceiling and also the wooden floors. This would be done in a luxury vinyl tile by Beckham Brothers for extra durability, and also it would have extra cushion underneath. That way it's a little easier if you were to fall. It helps absorb the impact, and it's not as hard on the person who fell. Also, I have added a white brick, like a whitewash brick in the space on the exterior walls on the inside, to bring back that brick feeling that we saw in the exterior photos of the original roundhouse. For lighting, I have the images of lighting that I'll be using throughout the space here. All of them are from Fluxworks, and they all have LED light bulbs that can be programmed to follow circadian rhythm. So they'd be cooler during the daytime and the afternoons, and warmer tones in the morning and evenings, and that would be located within the patient areas and public areas. Here I have a light map just kind of illustrating my intentions for use of lighting within the space and what the space, how it would be lit, not necessarily the pieces themselves, but this one I wanted to focus on what light would be where. So I've shown the surface lighting and task lighting as green and blue, ambient lighting throughout the entire space with pink, and decorative lighting as an orange or peach tone, and yellow shows the natural lighting that can come in through the space in the renovated larger windows, also the south-facing curtain wall and the west-facing curtain wall entrance for the main entrance. For my plan, there's 3 sections, so I'm going to quickly walk through them and explain the 3 different sections. So the first is the entrance and therapy areas. This will have a key card entry access for after hours, and while this is open to the public, there will be a receptionist here to monitor who comes in and out. And we have a lounge and waiting area for guests and patients. And right across from that, there are bathrooms, a universal bathroom with the washroom with the adult-sized change table, and also the consultation and therapy room, just for one-on-one sessions. And then across the hall, we have physical therapy room with additional equipment, some stands to help with posture and strengthening your legs, and also treadmill if they're able to use that. If not, there's free weights where they can work with that when needed. And then finally, the main portion of my therapy section is the therapy pool that has a height adjustable floor to provide seamless entry. So here's a rendering of that therapy pool space. This pool can accommodate 1 to 2 people at a time with a fully height adjustable floor, and which makes the pool safe for all ages, especially with the trained physical therapist working here to ensure the patient's safety throughout their sessions. There would also be seating that's not shown in this view, would be behind for parents if they would like to sit in. And also the entire bottom of the floor is a treadmill, which aids in walking or working on building strength in your legs again. And because there is also adjustable and movable transition bar, so that way they can hold on to it either through their session or while transferring in and out of the pool. There will be wheelchairs provided in the space. That way the wheelchairs could go into the pool if needed. And also when entering and exiting the pool, they can leave their own personal wheelchairs in this back corner here in the parking area and use the wheelchair provided. That way they have something they don't need to worry about getting wet or with water damage on, and it could go into this little sloped shower rinse off area after their session is done. For the patient and private areas, this is the area again that changed the most. So now there is an additional fire exit, which was not required by code because having the exit here and here was sufficient enough. However, I wanted to add this exit because in the midterm I had expressed a want to add a family apartment style unit for more severe cases of cerebral palsy. That way they would have an option to move here for a longer term and have dedicated access to specialized care, and they wouldn't have to leave their home or go far away for the access to therapies and treatments potentially. And with Victoria Hospital being 5 minutes down the road, that's very convenient, especially with the public transit routes that connect all of downtown very well. Due to the square footage restrictions, I was unable to add that. And with the addition of the fire exit and revitalizing the patient areas, I'm actually over my square footage, which turned out to not be that big a deal because of my target demographic. So I am around 6,600 square feet because of all of the open space and the addition of this exit and the space that's needed everywhere throughout the building for the 5'5" turnarounds. I just have, here I've got the 2 guest rooms and 2 patient rooms. Again, I've already walked through those, so I can show now the patient room renderings. This one's during the day. It would be roughly mid-morning with the east sunlight coming in to help with circadian rhythm and gently waking the patient as it illuminates the room. And then this view again at night, you'd have nice views of the sunset, and also the lighting in the room is completely dimmable and controllable. So when the nurses or caregivers come in, they can increase the brightness for their treatments or for any treatments or exams that they might need, and then dim them again when they leave. And then finally, for the public areas and the lounge space, the washroom is the same as the midterm. It's stayed here. I don't have the clear story windows shown on the plan, but there would be clear story windows here as well, just to bring some more light into the space. And then I have the self-serve kitchenette and cafe with some cafe style seating, the key card entry at all times. Because this is close to downtown, it's just extra secure. And if anyone comes in, they can buzz to the receptionist and have someone come and let them in. And then I have the flexible use lounge area with all of this lounge furniture being able to be stored in the storage room and replaced with enough seating to seat up to 34 people with tables and chairs, as well as having enough room for wheelchair turnarounds throughout the entire space. And then here's the location of my micro abstract, which could also be applied to this glass wall here. I don't have a view of that because I focused on this space. And then also the sensory or breakout room that's also incorporated there. Here's the view of the self-serve cafe, which encourages autonomy with patients to help recreate the welcoming feeling of a residential kitchen. In the future, I would like to modify this so that there could be a barista and a coffee bar to provide an added luxury for occupants, just so that way they could have their food and drinks made for them, especially if they're very preoccupied mentally with wondering how their child is doing during a session or therapy. For the second rendering of this section of the building, I have the lounge. This one faces the Horton Street East entrance, which would be in this corner over here. This one's a bit more of a public lounge, as this would be what you would walk into. And it is all very flexible, so this could move depending on the needs at the time. Behind the public lounge is a more intimate area, with this rendering showing what the space could look like at full capacity after the pandemic is over, so it would be very lively and energetic. And I have the Hosu lounge chairs from Steelcase again. Because of the varying age demographic, I wanted to be able to encourage crawling, especially with the younger children, for extra physical therapy, more in recreational therapy, so they could crawl, and if they need a break, it's very low to the ground, so they would be able to relax and rest on these chairs very easily. And then I have regular height chairs and also the Turnstone Campfire Lounge used in this rendering for adults and the older children if they're able to transfer from the wheelchair or if they're more mobile than others. That way there's options for different seating heights throughout. Finally, we have my micro abstract design. At the beginning of the design process, we created a micro abstract that utilized one element and principle of design. I've chosen to use line and rhythm to explore how this could be manipulated to create a visually interesting design. So I have the 4 inspiration photos here, which again are wood grain, the Joy Division's Unknown Pleasures album, topography maps, and the ocean floor. And in the top left, I have my partie model from last semester, just to show my ideations of how this could be used in the space. And then finally, my rendering of what the final design would look like used in the space. This would be a switch glass partition wall with a sliding door, which would help provide a visual barrier without completely blocking sight lines so that guests and patients could use this room to decompress and relax when needed. And having the opportunity of incorporating switch glass into this partition wall, this one being fixed and this being the sliding partition wall that could pivot and go along the inside of this wall for if they want the space open. Having the switch glass allows for this to become fully opaque if they need more privacy for decompression, or if they need even more light control, that way they could use sensory equipment and lighting. Thank you again to everyone who has helped me throughout this past semester, and to the jury for taking time out of your day to watch our presentations and provide constructive feedback that's been very helpful so far. Is there any questions?
Thank you very much, Karissa.
Thank you.
Melinda was saying that she can't hear. Melinda, can you hear it again or no?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
Okay, I'm yelling at my laptop across the table. So I was logged in on my iPad, and my iPad lost internet connection. So I lost a good 5 minutes of the presentation.
Oh,
so
no.
maybe, I don't know if Natalie can share what was recorded in this presentation with me, so then I could add comments, but I was able to continue watching because I was able to watch on my iPads or on my laptop, so I'll do my best, but I'll let you guys contribute your feedback, and I'll probably not add anything on this one. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Sorry that the vibe or the sound cut out.
Yeah, it's all at my end, so don't apologize.
Okay.
I guess since I'm unmuted, I'll just go ahead and start.
All right.
So like the midterm, I think you did an exceptional job of displaying and describing your work. And I was really appreciative of the fact that you took a moment on one of these plates to show us that snapshot of the midterm and what's been changed, and then to provide your thought process on why those elements changed. And so I think that, you know, part of what we do is narrative storytelling, and we do it through imagery and through pieces of paper. And I think that that was a really, really useful tool. Now, one thing that you did, and it's really not a critique of your work, because at this point, I think that your plan is well refined. I think that your approach to solving the issue through architecture is most certainly there. But one thing that you did while you were describing your work was point out your mistakes.
Yes,
And
I'm sorry. I do that when I'm nervous.
You did it, and you did it twice. And so if I could leave you with a thought that when you move from the educational world to the professional world, even if you know something's on the paper that shouldn't be there, do your best to, you know, describe why if the question's brought up, but do yourself a favor and don't point your mistakes out. Because then you may derail the conversation, because again, people become hypersensitive to things in presentations like this. So that was one thing I just wanted to point out. But, you know, home runs on the concept of creating residential style patient rooms. I think that in spaces like this, having the warm tones, having the wood flooring, like all of those elements, having the natural light, like that will lend itself ultimately to how quickly somebody recovers, or how their daily experience would go in a facility like this. I think from the floor plan perspective, could you just go quickly to your floor plan? It's a very minor item in your corridor that leads from your common space down towards what would be the south on the plan here, where the corridor curves.
Yeah.
You have an opportunity there where you have a 90-degree corner. I don't know if possibly you could have had another instance of your micro abstract element or something to kind of thread that concept through, but that just seemed like a residual, maybe missed opportunity to place a planter or something that was a little bit softer. So
in this corner, I actually have a custom cabinet that I've built in. I forgot to mention that. It would follow this curved line so that the hallway would continue the curve, and then this could be used to either house books, plants, art that might be made during activities, just to help customize and provide a little extra visual interest for this area.
Perfect. That's great.
Thank you.
I think other than that, like you should be commended for your the time that's clearly been spent on the work, and the manner in which you've displayed and described it. So congrats.
Thank you. When I was practicing, I didn't mention any of the mistakes, but I ended up doing that because I was nervous and just, yeah.
It's easy to do. It's easy to do, but
as I was presenting, I felt myself do it. So I was like, whoop, stop, keep going.
Yeah, I'll leave you with that. It's a good lesson.
I will definitely work more on that. Thank you.
Karissa, congratulations. I think your project is phenomenal. I don't think that there's one space that you didn't consider kind of every aspect, and I know it's hard to touch on it in the 20 minutes, but you did a phenomenal job kind of walking us through and your thinking and all your design process. It was fantastic. I think that your renderings were beautiful and they really conveyed all of your comments into your spaces. I guess my only comment would just be, I know you said you ran out of time, but just like adding a little bit of color kind of to your floor plans and your would have really helped me kind of visualize it, because your renderings didn't come up till the end of the presentation. So when I saw it at the end, it all made sense. But even kind of walking through it, you kind of had your furniture all in one, your lighting all in one. It would have been a little bit helpful for me maybe if you had put your floor plan in there and just kind of showed maybe where that specific light was going to go. But yeah, I think that your evolution of even your micro abstract was really defined, and it was really clear, and it was organic and beautiful, and everything tied together very well. So congratulations and well done.
Thank you. I tried to add it so that I would go through with the individual sections. So that would be here's one part and then show a rendering for it. But the majority of my renderings were for the final section. So that I could have maybe worked a bit more on for rearranging everything so it wasn't all at the end. Thank you.
Sorry, that's me. Great job, Karissa. You know, I'm a huge fan. I loved your presentation. You know, for me, not being an industry expert by any means, you know, I can be an audience to these presentations. And what I always want to consider is like, where are the gaps in my understanding? Because I could be a client, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, so where are the questions, or where's the missing elements? And with your presentation, there's really, for me, even I was able to follow, you know, there really were I'm not left with any questions. I really love that you do the before and after, you address the midterm comments and the changes you've made. It's very clear what your thinking was, and all the little pieces that you thought of. As Stephen said, one thing that jumped out to me was pointing out your negatives. You never want to do that in any sort of presentation, or you think even like in an interview setting, you never want to point out the negative. You know, don't hide from it if someone else brings it out, because I think your thought process is always very clear and concise. But yeah, don't point it out. But yeah, I thought it was great, really professional, really sincere. Clearly a tremendous amount of research went into this. And yeah, I think it's ready to build.
Thank you.
In my humble opinion. So, congratulations. Really well done.
I'll just jump in quickly. I agree. The pointing out your own mistakes is the first thing I wrote down. I'm like, don't do that. But I think you had a really nice color palette, like it was calm but still playful. So I think that would really help with all the kids in the space, while also being, you know, a pleasant environment for the parents as well. I think I've noticed your reception, you changed around the actual reception desk, and I think it works a lot better, although I don't know how you get in behind there.
There would be an opening here.
Exactly, yeah. But yeah, in general, I think it's looking really nice, and a good improvement on the midterm as well. So congrats.
I will add on to that. I mean, I did see most of your presentation, and I noted that I really loved the use of the different textures in your finishes, and the color palette. It felt very warm and inviting and comfortable, and I think that was your goal. So you illustrated that very well. So I was excited to see the renderings, and unfortunately I missed some of that, but hopefully I'll catch it later. But great job overall.
Thank you.